Sarah McQuaid is here at the Franklin County Public Library, Rocky Mount downtown, performing tonight at 6:30. And thank you for spending some time with us before your show. I'm sure it's been a busy, hard life because you've been on the road kind of constantly, right? You started off when? Earlier?
Started off at the start of September. It's a 7-week U.S. tour in total. So we flew into Newark on, I think it was the 3rd or 4th of September. And the first gig was actually in North Carolina, funnily enough, on the 6th of September. And then we started heading west and we went through, Missouri and Colorado and Idaho and Oregon and California, and then back via Wyoming and Illinois, Indiana, and down into South Carolina, up through North Carolina, and now here we are in Rocky Mount, Virginia.
Wow,
I've still got another nearly 2 weeks to go.
That's incredible to me. Does that drain you in any way? Because when I take long car trips, I'm like exhausted.
It's
when I
pretty
get out.
tiring. Luckily, I don't have to do the driving. I've got my wonderful manager who's also my tour manager, who's also my sound engineer, suitcase carrier, etc. And he does all of the driving, which is great because I did try early on when I first started doing a little bit of touring on a kind of a small scale. I tried driving myself to gigs, and I found at the end of a long drive, I was so tired I could barely stand on stage, let alone perform. And so I realized really quickly that approach wasn't going to work. I know there are artists out there who drive themselves to gigs and they seem to be able to do it. I think, I just couldn't do it myself. I couldn't get up the energy to perform properly once I'd been driving all day. But I'm all right as a passenger. I'm not too bad.
Now, do you have special exercise that you do to keep your health up? And also the food. I mean, you got to think about food because you're on the road. Do you know where to go to get healthy?
Well, where's really good actually is Subway, which is also really cheap, which is good. But Subway do these salads, and you can get anything as a salad, and you can get. I usually get the salad made with just spinach rather than lettuce, and then they've got all these other veggies you can stick in there as well, and so that's pretty healthy. When you've got a big bowl full of veggies and protein. I just try and eat as much green stuff as I can, and trying to eat healthily. As far as keeping from getting colds and stuff like that, I have this really disgusting thing I do every morning, but it keeps the colds at bay. I gargle with warm salt water, and then I run some warm salt water down my nose and let it
that clears it up. That really does.
It really does. It's really good.
A doctor recommended that to me once. At first, when I heard it, it was like yuck, but then I accidentally did it one time, and it just kind of whoop, there it is.
It's just one thing that, it was a doctor who originally recommended the salt water thing, and it is actually effective, unlike a lot of the kind of folklore cold cure and prevention things. So I do that every morning when I'm on tour. I kind of let it slide when I'm at home. I figure that way if I get a cold when I'm at home, it's not so bad.
Yeah, and you got people around who are going to help because they actually have to. Now, does that just time on the road and all, worrying about your health, worrying about the travel, worrying about the whatever, do you have time to create? Do you create on the road? Do you work on? Okay.
But I do get ideas on the road. I get a lot of ideas on the road. I particularly seem to get ideas when I'm sound checking for gigs, There'll always been a moment when Martin will say, hang on a second, I got to fix something here, and I'm just there with my guitar and I start noodling and I get ideas. And what I do is I note it down. Either I if it's a musical idea, I use the little voice memos app on my phone. I've already made a bunch of those recordings just during the course of this tour. And then also I get ideas for lyrics. I get those a lot in the car, actually, staring out the car window. I get ideas for lyrics. But there's never time to actually sit down and focus and flesh the thing out to a finished song. But 2 albums ago, I discovered that could really work to my advantage, because what happened with my 4th album, Walking Into White, and I kind of made it deliberately happen again with the 5th album that just came out last year. When I was getting ready to record Walking Into White, I had tons of song ideas, but I hadn't actually had time to flesh out any of them into finished songs. And I got to the point of booking the studio time and also booking the flights, because I recorded that album in the USA. So I booked the flights to fly over from England. I thought, right, I better get some songs. And I sat down with all these, dozens and dozens and dozens of song ideas and started going through them. And I found that it was a really good creative process, because every time I was working on a song, I was working on it with reference to all the other songs that I was working on that were maybe going to make it onto the album. And so, I'd start writing something in a waltz tempo and think, oh no, hang on, I've already got a waltz tempo song, I don't need another one, so stop that, and what can I do with it to make it different, and maybe put that idea aside for a future, So I wound up with this, what I felt was the most coherent album I'd ever made to that point, where everything seemed to really fit together. And so then once that album was out and I started getting ideas for more songs, I almost forced myself not to sit down with the song ideas, not to start trying to finish songs until I was ready to actually think about recording. And then I scheduled the recording for May of 2017, and in January started sitting down and going, okay, what ideas am I going to flesh out into songs? And then I got, I started, once you're in that creative process, it kind of feeds on itself, and you start getting more song ideas. So some of the strongest songs on the album, I think, were ideas that I hadn't had previously, but that came up once I was actually thinking about the album and thinking about how it was going to flow, and started getting more ideas.
Does it change during this process? Do the lyrics change? The music changes?
And everything changes once you get into the studio, especially if you're working with a producer. Any producer I've ever worked with, I've worked with 3 of them. Jerry O'Byrne produced my first 3 albums. My cousin Adam Pierce produced the 4th album, and Michael Chapman produced the 5th album. And all of those producers have changed, have either proposed changes in the songs themselves, or have said to me, "Oh no, this isn't working. You need to rewrite this." Or sometimes it'll actually come up itself. Sometimes you'll realize as you're trying to record a song that it's not working, and you start thinking, "Hang on, how can I kind of rejig this?" And
so there's a collaborative process here. There's a thing that happens outside of just yourself. It just all mingles.
Yeah, and Martin as well. Even before I got into the studio with Michael Chapman, Martin and I made demos of the songs that I'd written up to that point to send over. And I actually, with Adam, with the recording with Adam as well, we recorded demos at home. And then, in the course of recording those demos, Martin suggested changes as well. So yeah, I think the more, the more people involved, the better, because it's really hard to see something yourself. You can't take the long view, you're too close to it, and you can't always tell how it's coming out the other end, so to speak.
Revision.
Yeah, no, revision's a good thing.
So how do you know when a song is done? Are you sure
when
about
it's
it?
recorded.
Okay. So it's like, that's it.
That's it. Okay, it's set in stone. And I do find songs sometimes they don't change materially in terms of the lyrics don't change and the melodies don't change, but sometimes I listen back to an old album song and I go, oh wow, God, I do that song a whole lot faster, a whole lot slower, or gosh, I've completely changed the way I do the dynamics in that, so you can still change as you go along.
So tell me quickly, let's give out all the information, how to get in touch with you, and get Martin's full name so we know how to, in case anybody needs to know too.
Oh, well, his name is Martin Stansbury, and he's, as I say, he's on, you'll find him on the contacts page of my website under management, because that's what he does. But the website is sarahmcquaid.com, sarahmcquaid.com. And there's links on there to all the social media as well, Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and everything.
So congratulations, and I hope this is a great show tonight. I know it's going to be.
Oh, thank you.
And they've already said there's a lot of people coming, so thank you.
Great. Thank you, Carl.